Before we start this video, a large thank you to Halo Burner and Ryan Bellin for their continued and massive support of the channel this month on Patreon. It is sincerely appreciated, gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hello everybody, today we're going to continue on to the exciting world of doors, and we're going to make it so we can actually test our key. So let's start by making a key item, and you know how to do this by now. We're going to make this derived from item, delete the start and update functionality as is per tradition. So I'm just going to put in SG as my namespace, and I'm going to make this derived from item. So that's all we need to do because there's nothing special about the key. I just want to give it its own item classification, just so it's separate from everything else, not counted as a weapon or a projectile, etc. So now I'm going to make a new list on the world item database for key items, and we're going to make it so that the keys are going to generate their own unique ID. I'm going to call the list keys, and then we're going to go down to, actually I'm going to put this right below quick slot items, because I'm particular about my organization. So I'm going to come in here and copy a for each loop, and we're going to basically check for every key in this series of keys and add them to the items list. You should be checking for nulls there in case you delete entries in the lists. I did mention that earlier, but if you don't do that, you're going to have a problem. So if you have no null entries, though, obviously it's totally fine. Let's make a get function for the key, and I'm going to say public key item get key by ID. We're going to check through our keys and get the one by ID. Okay, now I'm going to go to my items. I'm going to make a new folder for my keys, and I don't actually have a create asset menu. Okay, I've yoinked this create asset menu from my melee weapon, and I'm going to say items/key, and there we go. That's it. I'm going to save that really quick. Now I'm going to right click, create folder, keys, and now let's make a key real quick. Create items, and we're going to go down and look for key. There we go. I'm going to call this dungeon key. And then in here, I'm going to say old key. I should probably name it the same thing I'm naming up here on the item name. That's, yeah, we're going to do that. Copy old key, paste right here. Okay, I'm going to drop this into my keys, and I've actually yoinked an item icon. I think it's a fork I had from a prototype key in Nephalite. An old iron key will be the description. There we go, and I got this fork icon from my prototype key in my own game. Looks nice. Totally a key. And now I am going to, you can see there's 0 item ID. If I press play, it generates when we have 19. Okay, cool. Now let's go to our door, and you can see, let's make it require the key. So we can go to our old key. I'm just making sure this works, by the way, because I know we set up keys in the last video, but let's actually make a key too and make sure this works. So I open the door, and it should not open right now, and I definitely forgot to tick a box. Yes, so back near requires item, don't forget to do that. Back into the game, through the magic of editing, and it's locked. Okay, cool. So right now that pop-up goes away, and you actually can't interact with it again, see? But we can change that if you'd prefer. So if you go to our interactable base class, you can see every time you interact, it actually disables the collider and removes the interaction from the list, and then it saves the game. If you don't want that to happen, so if you want to be able to interact with it again in case you come back with the key, delete the base.interact on this, on the door interactable, and only disable the interactable when you open the door, which happens when the open changes. Otherwise, we can come back now it's locked, and if I walk away and come back, I can keep interacting with it. So if you come back with the key, now you can open it. But that's personal choice. If you want to, for some reason, disable that, then keep it the way it was. So I'm going to add the key to my inventory real quick, and now I should be able to open this door. Yes, I can. Okay, very good. Now, let's go ahead and set it up on the prefab. So let's go over to the prefab, and I am going to look for door interactable. So I'm on this prefab here, by the way. And now inside the prefab, I'm going to create an in-game object, because now we're going to make it so you cannot open the door from the other side. And this is going to be quite simple. We're basically going to make another interactable object as a child of this object, and we're just going to make a message interactable. So I am going to copy the trigger of this box collider from our first interactable and paste it. And then I'm going to create a new script called message interactable, which I have open here. And I'm going to delete the start update functionality, add in my namespace as is per tradition. So create a new script, message interactable, and we're going to make it derived from interactable, of course. And this is just going to quite simply display a message to the player. So this can be used in a bunch of places. You could have this for tutorial messages or any kind of interactable message you want to put in the game. So I'll start with making a header called message, and we're going to make a serializable field string. And this is the message you want to send to the player. And thankfully, we already have a message system created quite some time ago where we can actually just send the player a message through a pop-up. So I forgot to make this drive from interactable. I'm going to do that. I'm going to override interact. Looks good. Now let's go to the interact, and you can see here I'm disabling the clutter, yada yada yada. So if you don't want that, again, don't derive from the base. Just override it and put what logic you want, because right now when you interact with this, it's going to disable the clutter immediately. So I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to send the player a message from send player message pop-up on the player UI pop-up manager, and we're going to send message pop-up. Okay, looks good. And now if you want to, optionally, play some sound effects here. So I have that in my game, Nephilite, and Dark Souls and Elden Ring I believe do that as well, but this is a good place to place it. So back into my prefab, I'm going to add the message interactable, and you can see I have a box color with a trigger, and it is set to interactable, and the message will be cannot open from this side, and I'm going to drag in, or you can drag in your interactable clutter here, and then your message pop-up, sorry, should be kind of open to the side. The interactable text should be open. I had that placed in the wrong spot first. Okay, now if I go over here, boom, cannot open from this side. Very simple, and obviously I can't interact with it again because I'm disabling that collider. If I go to the other side, you can see I can still open it. Alright, so that's all you need for a door, but what if you want to open a door or even a gate with a lever? Well, I'm going to quickly make a gate out of these two. How do you pronounce that? Portcullis? However you say that, I'm going to combine them both in an object here and make a prefab, call it gate interactable. And we're going to make it so we can animate this by going to our animation, highlighting the parent object and creating an animation clip. We've done this before, but I'll do it again just because it's kind of fun. Now let's go over to the objects. I'm going to call the animation. We'll start with gate underscore open underscore 01. And then I'm going to hit my record button here, and I'm going to highlight these two objects by control clicking them, and then I'm going to move this a little bit so we get our first frame, and I'm going to put it back. And then I'll go all the way in the end here, and I'm going to drag it up like this. Now if I click play, it's probably going to be too fast for a gate. Yeah, it looks a bit too fast. So what I'm going to do is use the mouse wheel to zoom out and drag these frames all the way over here. Let's try it again. That's a little better. I'm not going to play around with this too much because obviously this is a video demonstrating the actual functionality, but that looks fine for the sake of what it is right now in this tutorial. So we're going to say gate underscore open and then make a new clip, and we're going to do the same trick we did before. I'm going to copy, or I've already copied, sorry, I should have said that, and then control V the last frame on the previous animation so the gate is just opened right away. And then we're going to go to our open and opened, and we're going to untick loop time. So we're going to do the same thing as last time. If the gate is already opened when you join the world, it'll just play the opened animation, just skipping to the last frame. I'm going to go to the animator, make a new state, empty, make it as default state. This is the exact same setup as the door, guys, don't worry. So you've done this in the previous video, just do the exact same thing. I'm just rushing through it because we've already kind of covered it. Don't want to go over it again too much. Now add a door interactable to the gate, and you can place your animations in here, or rather your open and open variables, like so. But we're not actually going to open this, we still need the animations here, but we're not going to open this gate through an interactable glider. We're going to open this gate through a lever. So I'm going to untick static on this, so like this, there we go, and all the children objects. And then we're going to add an audio source, just basically setting up the door interactable variables right now real quick. I'll make it play the elevator moving sound effect, even though it's a looping sound effect, just so I know it's working. And the interactable text doesn't matter because you can't interact. I'll say open. But there's no interactable collider, and there's not going to be. So let's take inspiration from our elevator system. And I think I might have mentioned in the video before, you could have made this, we have a call elevator interactable. We could have made this just activate other interactable, but we didn't. I think I might have mentioned that. But in this video, to keep it a bit more general, I'm going to do that. So you can even replace your call elevator interactable with this if you wanted to. If you have to modify it a little bit, but I'm going to make this script a bit more general in the way that you can use this in the future to activate any other interactable you have linked with it. So I'm going to make this script, I'm going to call it activate interactable, actually activate other interactable. It's a mouthful. So my naming conventions always ends with interactable, so we're going to call this activate other interactable. Now I'm going to drop in my namespace, delete start and update functionality as is per tradition. I'm going to make this derived from interactable. That's a lot of interactables. And then we're going to serialize a field of our interactable object that we want to actually activate. And we're going to call it interactable object. So basically, the very simplified version of the script is we're just using this interactable to trigger another one. So we're going to override interact, and then we're going to say interactable object dot interact, and we're going to pass the player. check for null first. And if it is null, simply return. And obviously there's a bit more to this. We're going to play some animations with the lever too. So I will save that. And now I'm going to copy everything on the interact, and I'm going to override the base interact, because what you want to do, or optionally, I won't do in this video, I guess, because it's out of scope, but I'll show you how you could, and I can set it up. So you can make this so you could use it once. And if you're going to use it once, you want to deactivate the interactable collider. But if you want to be able to keep pulling this lever, like say you have a link to a trap or something, like a fire trap or a pitfall, then you don't want to deactivate the collider. You want to basically do the same thing we do with our elevator, where you deactivate it temporarily and then reactivate it again a few seconds later. But you can just copy the elevator code for that. Again, I won't spend more time on this than I need to. But if you're going to use it once, then just disable the collisions for actually using the interactable. So let's go over to the door interactable, and I'm going to make a header for levers and buttons, I'll say, just in case you want to use a button or something. But basically, whenever we open the door, we want to deactivate the cannot open from this side if you have it, and obviously any buttons and levers or any other object associated with this door, because we don't want to be able to actually use these again if the door is already open. So, put simply, let's find where we have some pseudocode here for disable cannot open from the side collider. I mentioned that in the previous video. We'll do that, and we're also going to do a for loop. And we're going to iterate through any buttons and levers tied to this door if they exist. And we're going to disable those as well, so again, they can't be activated. And if you want to, bonus points, you can also make it so the lever is in the pulled position if you have that set up when you deactivate it. So I'm going to say levers and buttons. You could make a disable function, or we could just go over and make our interactable collider public. If you don't want to do that because you're afraid it might get modified, then you can make a getter function as well. I'm not going to do that though. So I'm going to come over here to my door interactable again, and I'm going to say interactable collider.enable is equal to false. And then I'm going to come down here and say, right below that, player UI manager.instance.local player.player interaction manager.remove interaction from list. Now, why am I doing this? Well, let's say I disable this button in a multiplayer game and you're on it, and you have it as an interaction. Then I want to remove that from your interaction list, so you can't have that interaction pop up still present after I pull the lever or open the door. So if levers and buttons I is equal to null, simply continue. And now we're actually going to make a function for this to encapsulate it, disable door interactions, because we're going to have to call this twice. And if you're repeating code more than once, or if you're writing code more than once, it's the same thing. So if you're repeating code at all, it's always a good idea to encapsulate it, because if you ever modify it, then you only have to modify it in one place, and it just is a lot nicer. So it's good practice. And interactable collider.enable is equal to false, so we put that there too. And then we're going to say if door is open, disable door interactions, and down here we can call disable door interactions for a check if door is already opened. Okay, now let's also make a serializable field for our message interactable, and we'll call this cannot open from this side, and we can just disable that one as well. I'm going to say cannot open from this side interactable. Okay, header. Cannot open from this side. Very good. And let's go ahead and let's say if cannot open from the side interactable is not equal to null, then we're going to simply say cannot open from the side interactable .interactable collider .enabled is equal to false. And we're going to copy and paste this right here. And I'm going to put this remove interaction as well. And we're going to remove the interaction from the cannot open from the side interactable in case someone's standing on the other side when we open it. Okay, now let's go into our call elevator interactable, and we're going to take some inspiration here. So we have our animations. Let's grab and yoink these right here and the animator. Let's come back to our activate other interactable, paste that, and let's just look at the code here real quick. So yeah, if you want to copy the timing thing, if you want to repeat the lever, you can do that. It's basically a lightly modified version of what we got going on here. But I'm just interested in playing the animation, so I'm going to say, I'm going to take this code out of this use once, and I'm going to delete this. We're going to say interactable collider, and if not use once, then you can put your logic here to reset it. So interactable collider.enable is equal to false, remove the interaction, close all pop-ups, play the lever animation, and then if it's repeatable, make a coroutine or an RPC function here to basically reset it whenever you want it to basically be able to be pulled again. So again, we've covered this before. I won't go into it. If you want me to, though, I can circle back, but You guys can definitely do this because we've done it in another video with our call elevator. So it's over here, by the way. Wait for elevator to release, and then you can see we have a nice little coroutine setup. But I am also going to yoink the lever has been pulled network variable, and I'm going to place that right up here, like so. And I am going to, let's make a pulled lever animation too. So I'm going to make it so basically when the lever's pulled in this video, it's going to stay pulled, and we're going to have that same effect of our door where the lever is actually in the pulled animation after it's been pulled. So I'm going to make a server RPC. Again, this is very similar to how we set up a door. And I'm going to say pull lever server RPC. Actually, I think it's pretty much identical. Required ownership is equal to false if you want non-host to be able to pull this. And then I'm going to say if is server, and then we're going to copy and paste this and say client RPC. And I'm going to say pull server or pull lever RPC becomes pull lever client RPC. And let's make sure we put in our client RPC header thingy. And let's just say pull lever client RPC. And now what we want to do is actually come up here, and I'm going to just say pull lever server RPC, and then we're going to yoink all this logic and place it in the client RPC. So let's delete or copy this rather. And I am going to come down here and paste it in here. Now, player can be replaced with player UI.instance.localPlayer, because regardless, after this has been pulled, if any player in the game has this on their interactions list, it must be removed because it's becoming deactivated. And I'm just going to get rid of that closed pop-up window, and we're just going to say animator.play, and then we're going to say if is owner, lever has been pulled.value is equal to true. Now we're going to say private void on lever is pulled. Actually, we don't really need this because I think we can just put this, yes, we're going to put this on spawn just like the door. So let's go to do an override on network spawn, and if you join the game and the lever has already been pulled, then basically we're just going to do the exact same thing as the door, and we're just going to say lever's animator play animation pulled animation. So if lever has been pulled.value animator.play pulled lever animation, just like the door. Okay, let's save this and let's go back into the game, and I'm just going to animate it again. I'm going to yoink that last frame from the actual pull animation. I'm going to copy with Control C, going to make a new animation, going to call it lever pulled. So we're going to say lever underscore pulled underscore animation. I can't talk this morning, my goodness. Okay, paste, looks good. There we go. Now on tick loop time, go in here and put it in your animation state window wherever you want it, where it looks pleasing. And copy the name, come down and put it here in the variables. So just set up your lever variables here now. So get all the animations. And I've just yoinked the same lever as the lever from the elevator so I can share the animations. Okay, cool. And don't forget your interactable text and your interactable object and your collider and yada, yada, yada. Again, this is a child of the gate object. I have it set up that way, so it's using the same network object as its parent. But you can set it up through some other means you want to, link it in the world via ID and whatnot. But this is just a far simpler way of setting it up, so I'm going to do so. Now make sure your gate is on your default network prefabs, and then as it is a network object. And then come back into your door interactable. I'm going to say if the interactable collider does not equal null, then disable it. Because remember, this door doesn't have an interactable collider anymore. This gate, I mean. So find wherever you have an interactable collider call on the door interactable, and make sure you're checking for a null. Now I'm going to come back in and add my levers and buttons to this gate. And I'm going to add the cannot open from the side of my door over there. Now I'm going to create a new class, or character rather. I'm going to go into the game here, and I'm going to attempt to open this gate. And yes, it opens. Cool. Works as intended. Okay, there you go, guys. You get yourselves a working door and gate system. By the way, I got a demo out on Steam. You guys should definitely check it out. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons for helping keep my lights on. Thank you to the people who take the time to leave a like, comment, and share the video via word of mouth. You all have my sincerest gratitude. I hope you have a very lovely weekend. I'll see you next week.